Hey, everybody. Welcome to Subconscious Sundays. I am your co host, Reverend April Kling Meyer, and this is Timothy Freeman.
Hi.
Hi.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
And good evening to those of us here in the European continent and east of that, Asia. Yeah. Tim, they're very adjacent to the international date line. They're in Hawaii, spanning the
Right.
globe with Subconscious Sundays.
Joining
So
you from
today's,
two beautiful islands, actually.
oh yeah, we're all
Ireland
about the
and the
island
Big
life. Yeah.
Island.
So this week's episode is about setting energetic boundaries. And Tim and I both agreed. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here, but Tim and I both agreed this is something that we're both kind of needing a little bit more of in our own lives. So
Well, I'll
once
tell you,
again,
as soon as it's just as soon as we decided on this topic, it showed up for me in my life this week. So it was a real educational experience, kind of looking at this, and we hopefully have some really helpful things to share with you guys.
yeah, totally. I mean, once again, another example of how Tim and I really don't speak from a place of thinking that we're better than anybody or that we have it all figured out. We're in this with you. This is stuff that we're learning about on the go so that we can have some share what we're learning, share what we're learning in the
Yeah.
field. Yeah.
And the frame of
Yeah.
reference of how this bounces off of our subconscious minds and into our conscious minds, whether we realize it or not.
Yeah. I mean, this whole topic is about like, it's a pretty broad topic. And every week lately, or some weeks, I should be honest, I try to put some kind of prompt or question on my Facebook page, which is public if you want to go check it out, about what we're trying to define here, what it is that we're trying to help our community with, and what it is we're going to be sharing, and what it is we're going to be teaching today. And so this week, I asked the question, what are some things that you might need help with setting energetic boundaries? And this is so this question, I posted it to my Facebook page, which is largely going to be seen by my closest friends and family and such like that. And it's probably going to be commented on by people who are comfortable commenting on such things on my page, including very dear old friends, mutual friends of Tim and mine. He will recognize a few of these names, not all of them, but a few. So I asked, what are some things that you need help setting some energetic boundaries with to kind of help us form the context of the show? Probably friendships, to be honest. Um, this is from Izzy. Somebody Tim doesn't know, somebody I know. And I would say that that's probably going to be something I share with Izzy, is that I feel like my own testing ground for this, my own learning grounds, proving grounds for this lately have been with friendships rather than like say family or work, which was the next one. Work, probably. Both of these had probably. I'm going to guess definitely on both of those. If you're thinking you might need energetic boundaries, then you definitely need energetic boundaries. How about that? So Jen says work probably, but then she goes on to say, and yes, Tim, it's the Jen you think it is. It's good old Jen from back in the day. What are energetic boundaries? She asked. Great question. Like boundaries with electrified fences. Ha ha ha. So Cruz then jumped in. Oh man, I already have a hard enough time recognizing boundaries. Now we're adding electricity. I'm doomed. Yes, Cruz, we're going to electrify our boundaries today Why not? So, how I defined it in response to Jen's question and how we're defining it for the show today is that it can be broadly defined, but essentially, for the purposes of our show today, it's going to be management over how much time we spend thinking, worrying, or even feeling emotions about a certain person, place, or thing. Now, there's boundaries that you can create between yourself and another person, and those are definitely part of the field of what we're talking about today. But when I say, like, the phrase, is someone living rent free in your head? And somebody immediately comes to mind, that's probably going to be a signal that you need to set some energetic boundaries with that person. And yes, it's all happening inside of you. And a lot of it's also happening outside of you, as within, so without. So it could, as I've learned in the last year, and Tim is my witness, when you're having a lot of energetic, uh, like I would say even psychic, I shy from using that. I don't use that term loosely. I don't. But when you're having some sort of psychic connection with somebody, or when you're having like a lot of strong feelings about somebody, and in a deep sense that that's mutual, it's probably a good idea to just start going, maybe I should set some boundaries here. Or maybe I should just know what my own capabilities are in terms of setting boundaries. And I think that there's probably the best framework that I know about setting energetic boundaries is what I've been learning from being a part of the neurodivergent community online. And I consider myself to be, for the last 30 years, ever since my therapist in my teens mentioned that it was quite possible that I was ADHD, um, I've been considering myself functionally ADHD up to a point. I think about 4 years ago, it became kind of non-functional ADHD. But hey, I got through seminary, so I guess I'm somewhat functional. But when it comes to neurodivergence, there's a lot of conversations around the topic of masking. And what masking is in this instance has nothing to do with the COVID stuff, but it has to do with how we show up for different people in our lives and feeling the need to show up differently for just about everybody. And this comes up pretty frequently among the clients that I interact with in counseling. And it is exhausting. It's exhausting to have to be um, someone you think that you have to be in public, or when you're out and about. And there's also this other discourse happening online about, am I an introvert? Because if I'm around a lot of people, or if I'm around other people, I feel exhausted afterwards. And that may be so. You may be an introvert. That may be a signal. But I think that we, as people in this society, generally just have a lot of work to do when in terms of setting electronic, sorry, not electronic cruise, setting energetic boundaries. So when what has really benefited me in terms of this discourse and in terms of this practice is that I've switched my thinking quite a bit around having to show up with like matching energy with people. And I used to really pat myself on the back quite a bit for being able to match energy with people, being able to show up for someone and with someone in exactly the way they show up for me. And that is very imperfect, which, typically I would say go for anything that's imperfect. I love imperfection, but it can be very exhausting to not know how you're going to show up with somebody at any point. And about 6 months ago, I met with a woman by the name of Katie. She's a Celtic shamanic practitioner here in Ireland. And Katie said to me, I described for her some of the problems that I was having in that regard. Like, how do I show up in the world? And why is it that people react to me so wildly different sometimes wildly different from how I expect, and wildly different from how they've shown up for me or reacted to me in the past. Same people react to me different times. And there was just a lot of inconsistency in my life around how people react to me and how I feel like I show up consistently and they don't. And she said, April, you're experiencing something called role confusion. I said, role confusion? And how she defined role confusion for me was essentially how I've seen masking defined. And it's basically just kind of showing up how I feel I'm supposed to show up for every single person I encounter. And it sounds like it would be a good idea, and it seems like it's the right thing to do. But one thing that Katie has taught me is to set intentions about how I appear in the world before I appear in the world, on how I want to be in that situation or how I want to be reacted to, and not so much about how I think they need me to appear or they want me to appear. I consider myself to be a very authentic person, but this shift in my mindset has made an enormous difference in how I show up in life. It is the difference between this people pleasing need to be what people need me to be in my perception versus what I feel I would like to be in any given situation. It's different. I have found that making this shift in my life has not made my life easier. I have found that showing up in presence, in full conscious presence of how I want to be in the world and how I want to be reacted to and how I want to be treated, and how and matching with my intentions and the way that I appear in the world is pretty catalytic and can be very disarming for other people, because people pleasing patterns is probably easier in the short term and harder in the long run. And the shift that I'm describing, that I'm personally going through right now, is probably harder in the short term and longer and easier in the long run. Showing up and standing up in my authenticity and my authority, it can be very lonely. I'm not alone in saying that, but I truly believe that setting an intention of who I am, how I want to present myself, and what I want to get out of any interaction every time I leave my house, every time I enter a room, and every time I talk to another person, communicate with another person, it has saved me from feeling confused. And I definitely cannot say that it has saved me from feeling hurt, or that it has saved me from being um, from losing certain uh, intimacies I perceived that existed. Maybe they never did. But I will say that my confusion is diminishing so much just in this practice of several months. I thank Katie sincerely for that. And this will appear if you're into archetypal work, which is a highly subconscious intimacy practice of figuring out how it is you feel you appear in the world versus how you want to appear in the world, is a lot of the wisdom behind archetypal work. But doing some archetypal work will help you establish what it is that you want to set as your intention as you show up in the world and as you show up to different people in the world. I'm passing this wisdom on to my clients, and I'm seeing it work really, really, really well for them. And to those of my clients that are watching right now, if there are clients of mine watching right now, I just want to sincerely congratulate you for your hard work. And I'm cheering you on. I've been seeing this bear a lot of fruit very recently. So I'm feeling this really winning energy from passing this knowledge and wisdom on that I'm currently alchemizing. And just to another way that we show up, if we show up in our own wisdom, is if we stand up at our own authority, and we set aside any imposter syndrome, and we set aside this idea of us not being ready to be teachers or wisdom keepers or space holders. That if we set aside our um, lack of confidence, which was our topic a couple weeks ago, if we set that aside and we show up anyway, we will always have something to offer the world, no matter where we stand in that process. I think the willingness to just show up and share is enough. And we can also alchemize the ways that we show up imperfectly if that's something that you're afraid of doing or being. So there's always a way to make it work. And energetic boundaries with others is all about you and who you believe yourself to be. So become intimate with yourself, become intimate with yourself, with your inner self and with your subconscious. Become intimate with how you want to be in the world and with your goals and with your future self. Become intimate with your past self and how your past self has shown up in the world. Because I think if you do that, there will be a clearer idea of who you really are in the world and how you really could be showing up to others. And as far as the practice of setting energetic boundaries, I'm going to hand this over to Tim because Tim has prepared a hypnosis practice and he will be sharing that with all of us and teaching us kind of how it's done, especially on that subconscious level.
Sure. And I just wanted to speak to something you said there that I thought was really interesting, just from the perspective of some of the things we do in hypnosis. We realize that decision making in itself can be one of the most stressful experiences that we have. And there's something we do in hypnosis. It's pre-decision. It helps with pre-decision. It's we call it future projection. Future progression. And so one thing that you might have heard how professional athletes might use hypnotic techniques to visualize themselves going through the process of whatever they're competing with, and um, really getting a good visualization of how they want the outcome to turn out. And so we do that in hypnosis, which is really cool. But it's essentially pre-decision. So here, if you are deciding, how is it best for me to have energetic boundaries in a particular situation? How do I want to show up as my authentic self? First of all, I'm going to repeat what April said. I think the more we can sit with we can become, I think the way you worded it, April, is become intimate with our inner world. Whatever kind of, and the term I use for this is a restorative practice. That's kind of the term I've landed on lately. Whatever this is for you, whether it's self-hypnosis or hypnosis with a professional or meditation, something that's going to connect your conscious and your subconscious minds is going to allow greater intimacy with your inner life and allow you to express your true authentic self in everyday moment to moment. So that's really key right there. But you can also kind of use this pre-decision, this future progression. It's like, well, how do you want to show up? You can sort of visualize that and have a pre-decision. If there's a particular pattern that comes up a lot in a relationship or something like that, and how do you want to be different in that pattern, right? You can kind of visualize how you might use this pre-decision. Just pre-decide how you might show up. And that might sound a little complicated to have to do all this before you get into a situation, but I do believe, going back to just creating intimacy with your inner life, uh, we practice, and that was not doing my inner practice this week, and my boundaries got squishy. I thought that was really interesting. And then I did fine. I'm like, well, let's experiment with this. Is that the factor here? And so I kind of started back up with my inner practice, and it just felt more integral. And I think when we're able to connect with our subconscious, we're able to realign ourselves with what's most important to us. And all of our decisions are made on a subconscious level in reality. And so the more we can connect with what's most important to us, the more those decisions are already made in our subconscious mind, and they can easily come through consciously. So just wanted to say that based on what you were sharing there, April.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't believe this has to be complicated. It might sound a
No.
little daunting to kind of like pre-decide how you're going to interact in certain, but there is a real benefit to that. And I think it's automatic. The more we are able to connect and align with our subconscious, with our higher self, and the more aligned we are, the more automatic. Squishy boundaries should be. Oh yeah, that'd be a good book. Squishy boundaries. A lot of people have squishy boundaries. I mean, I have
Could
most
not
of my
agree
life.
more. That is awesome. Yes, we'll be talking a lot more about squishy boundaries. Yes, but yeah, we talked about. You said it's not difficult. It's not. With the practice of it is it shouldn't be difficult. It what it should look like and what we hope it looks like and what we really want it to look like is what we talked about yesterday, Tim, where like you just make 1 degree difference in your heading pattern,
Yes.
right? And that could change the course of your whole life. And to that, Bear actually had a great comment. It's like that attachment authenticity conundrum that Gabor Mate talks about, which we won't go into here, but definitely a great seed to plant for other outside research outside of the show. Many of us, even though we're desperately trying to grow out of it, are still afraid of the disconnection that can happen when we are true to ourselves publicly. The inner child is strong. And yes, this could involve some work with your inner child in order to get to that point where you're feeling like you are safe. And I really think that that is the best segue possible for what Tim is about to present to us in terms of the hypnosis that he'll be doing today. The idea of being safe and convincing your inner child, or even when we're talking about subconscious work, that what is that, Tim? What is the name of that being in your that guards you?
Yeah, right. So we call it the critical factor. It's kind of the guard
Critical
at the
factor.
gate between your conscious and your subconscious mind.
Right. We got to convince the critical factor that you are safe in order to build intimacy with the subconscious, which is my words, but Tim knows what I'm talking about. And we'll go ahead and get going on that because I know that you've been working on something really special
Yeah.
today. So I'm eager to get
Yeah, we'll
in
just,
there. Let's go.
sure. We're going to do a shorter hypnotic meditation today, but I also just kind of wanted to mention that I was um, shocked to find out, April, that you thought that I didn't respect your boundaries. And I decided right then and there that I was never going to read your diary ever again. That's a joke. Dad joke.
I was like,
Actually,
how did you do that? You have already
one
knocked him
other.
off and don't read my diary.
I've got another dad joke here too, just for fun. Um,
Okay.
I gotta get it. I gotta remember it and get it right. So, why did the narcissist cross the road?
Why?
Because they thought they were crossing your boundaries.
Oh, oh my God.
Dad joke. We
Narcissus.
Yeah. So we want to.
Oh
We
dear.
know that the brain learns better when you're having fun. And maybe these dad jokes aren't
Yeah.
that fun, but trying to have a little fun here. All right.
I'm always
If
gonna
you
laugh
are
at your
ready to,
jokes. And but we could not do this episode without saying the word narcissist at least once. I never
That's right.
thought we would ever I never thought we would ever get through a season of the show without having to bring it up at least once. But energetic boundaries, I know that narcissism is a really hot, sexy term these days online when we're talking about self help and things like that. But I know that a lot of you are coming into this work with us and watching this show every Sunday that are dealing with somebody who you perceive to be narcissistic, or hopefully dealing with our own narcissistic tendencies. So this is a great way to do both. I'm going to turn it over to you again one last time. One last time. Setting an energetic boundary,
Great.
Tim. It's your turn.
Okay. Great. All right. So if you all would like to participate with us here in a short hypnotic meditation, just go ahead and find a comfortable spot to sit. Get really settled in. Seated is good. If you'd like to lay down, if you're seated, make sure your feet are flat on the floor. Uncross your legs. Sit or recline with a straight spine if you can. And I'd like to start off by having you look at a spot on the wall just above your natural eye gaze. It's going to look something like this. Looking up slightly, keep your head straight forward and move your eyes straight up, and really start to eagle eye that spot and really just kind of examine every little detail about it, all the little nuance, the shadow, the texture. Taking a deep breath and focus in on that spot. And as you exhale, look through that spot. You might start to notice the corners of the room or activating your peripheral vision. And as you exhale the next time, just go ahead and close your eyes and start to relax into the surface you're seated on. Good. Now I'd like for you to relax your jaw. Just let any tension in your jaw release. Your jaw might hang open slightly. And go ahead and slowly start to slow your rate of breathing. Get into a slow, comfortable rate of breathing with a really long exhalation, just gradually, really comfortable, slow rate of breathing. And as you do, you again start to become aware of the gravity holding you to that surface. And as your awareness of that sensation fades, you go even more deeply relaxed. Slow, comfortable rate of breathing with a really long exhalation. And now I'd like you to relax your tongue, especially the back of your tongue. Just let your tongue relax in your mouth. What this does is it decouples your tongue from the part of your brain preparing to speak. There's nothing to do right now. Just relax. And now, if there's any part of your body that wants to relax even further, just let it go. Just let it relax. Breathing slowly, comfortably, settled, even more settled and comfortable with each breath you exhale. And now drop your consciousness into your heart, whatever that means to you. We often think of our consciousness residing in our head brain. Just drop your consciousness into your heart. And as you do, you might become aware of a feeling of spaciousness all around you. And as you focus in on that feeling of spaciousness, feels light, feels very comfortable, might feel really good. And you might not know where your body begins and the rest of your world begins. As you focus on that sense of spaciousness, it begins to grow, feeling really good and comfortable right now, relaxing even more with each breath you exhale. And right now, we're doing a really good job of calming our nervous system. We're helping to depotentiate our conscious mind. that does such a good job of solving problems, making decisions, but you know that our decisions really come from the way we feel and in our subconscious mind. So we're connecting in with that right now. Once again, I want you to focus on your consciousness seated in your heart. And as you do, a color comes to mind that represents your true, authentic self. You might notice that color in your heart. And with each breath, I want you to allow that color that represents your true, authentic self. No judgment, just who you really are. Let that color grow and start to infuse every muscle, nerve, and cell in your body. Probably feels really good. Just let that color start to infuse your whole being. Once again, take your attention to the feeling of the surface beneath you, supporting you. And as your awareness fades, you go even deeper. You're still noticing that color inside of you. And as you do, it gets even more vivid, even brighter. Good. And now I'd like you to think of a time when you might have been trying to do something to please someone else that you weren't happy about later. Maybe something in the recent past, doesn't need to be anything big, just something that you did to please somebody else or that you thought might please somebody else. And put yourself in that situation. Maybe you're thinking about it later. And how does it feel to you in your body right now? It might cause a little bit, might take you a little bit out of that comfortable, rested feeling in your body. And wherever you feel that feeling in your body, just focus on that feeling now. You might not feel it anywhere in particular, but if it's concentrated anywhere, just focus in there. And I want you to again imagine that color that represents your true, authentic self and let it just start to infuse into that space in your body where you feel that feeling. And as that color infuses into that space into your body, it starts to relax even further. And you know now that you can give yourself permission today, tomorrow, this week, moving forward. You give yourself permission to be your true, authentic self. You might bring to mind this color as needed, just to remind you of what that feels like to be safe and comfortable being your true, authentic self. And through this next week, try giving yourself permission to get quiet like this, calm your nervous system. You can use some of the techniques at the beginning here with focusing on your foveal vision and then your peripheral vision, slowing down your rate of breathing, relaxing your jaw. And right now, I'd like you to take in a deep breath, imagining that color even more vibrant now that represents your true, authentic self. It's infusing every part of your body, and you feel very, very comfortably relaxed. And just sit with this sensation in your body for a moment and see how quickly any tension or unease can dissolve by just relaxing into your true, authentic self. There's no effort here. And this week, allow yourself, give yourself the permission to take 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just to quiet your mind. It's going to help align your subconscious mind with your conscious mind, align your higher values with your ego, and allow you to more freely express your true authentic self in the world automatically with healthier energetic boundaries. You know when to extract yourself from a situation. You know when to take a pause and realign. You might imagine that color again, starting in your heart, infusing every part of your body now. And each time you do this, the connection between your higher self and your higher values gets even stronger and helps to create even more strong and automatic energetic boundaries in your life. You're going to be acting in ways that are in alignment with your higher values more easily. You're going to have less knee-jerk reactions to situations that might once have ruffled your feathers. The more we can take time to calm our nervous system, the more aligned we can become, the stronger our energetic boundaries in our life. So once again, take your attention to the feeling of the surface beneath you, gently supporting you. And in a moment, I'm going to count from 3 back to 1. And when I get to 1, you'll open your eyes and rejoin us here, waking consciousness. 3, feeling so relaxed, so good, and imagining that color very vivid, infusing every cell of your being. 2, really focusing on that sense of relaxation, how good it feels in your body. And 1, opening your eyes, back with us. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us
Hey,
for this hypnotic meditation.
I made it all the way through this time, Tim.
Oh, nice. Great. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're a little over time. We'll try to keep this to 30 minutes, but I hope you enjoyed the hypnotic meditation and feel free to use this tool all week. It will only help your energetic boundaries.
Indeed, it will. And I cannot stress this enough. Anytime you're working with something like authenticity, or you're working with setting better boundaries, or you're working with establishing better confidence, one of our previous episodes recently, you're going to need support. So every time we meet on this show, we want to finish the show by warmly, lovingly inviting you to come to either one of us and seek support. The links to set a free, no obligation, brief appointment with us to discuss what that might look and feel like for you is in the description of every one of our shows, including this one. So scroll down to the description, just open one of those links. Which one of us do you like better, him or me?
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
kidding.
no.
But really,
Yeah.
it's the difference. The difference being is that I'm going to be offering more of the kind of deep listening, talk therapy kind of stuff, and Tim's going to be guiding you through journeys within the self-conscious. And then, of course, there's going to be some bleed over. I lead some meditation, and Tim offers a little bit of talk therapy as well. So there's a lot of different options for you in working with either one of us. So just check it out, set a free appointment, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Bear. Good to see you. Good to have everybody with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week.